Hi, this is Debbie, episode number 22 in Creative Love Radio. Today we're talking about online dating, but we're not going to talk about dating tips. We're actually going to speak about the psychology of online dating and using new technology to find love. So let's begin. Welcome to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. We are redefining relationships to guide you to greater love, more success, and living your purpose through the latest research in neuroscience, Jungian psychology, and Eastern wisdom. Get ready for another inspirational episode of Creative Love Radio. All right, online dating, the love and hate relationship most people have with online dating. If you've never tried it, maybe you'll be encouraged to try it. If you have tried it and feel frustrated with it, this episode we're going to talk about how to get your mind around really engaging online that's going to bring you the most fruits and the best matches.
Easy for you to say.
Yes.
Yeah, so everybody's tried it, I'm sure by now. At least 60%, right?
Yeah.
That's what the statistics say. That's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
But more and more people are using it because that's the only game in town often. Is you have to date online. You have to play the game the way it's set up now.
And I think it's really convenient because if you're a busy corporate person and you have a day job and you don't have time to lug yourself to all these singles events, or going to a bar is like a shot in the dark. If you're going to meet someone that is available and ready for a relationship, that's your type. I mean, the odds of that, online gives you that. You're really like pruning out all the people that aren't looking for love, and you're really fine tuning to people that are actually put an effort in to put a profile up and say, yes, I want love. It just seems like it would be the highest, most impactful way. And what's really sad is that the normal, ordinary person has a tough time because they don't understand the psychology of what's going on inside of them. And that's what you all are very...
that's where we come in.
That's where we come in, and that's where you're ahead of the curve, and you're going to have better success because you're going to understand what is really going on.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of psychology involved because you not only get the technology and how it's conditioning you and how it's interacting with your brain, the screens, the images, but also then what is the mindset that you're bringing to that dating? How are you thinking about relationships, dating, love? All that plays into this incredible subject.
Well, I want to start with this idea of the 8-second rule. And when you talked about this, the first time you mentioned it, the research around our brain actually decides 8 seconds before we're conscious of it, on average, every decision we make. So if you think about going online, swiping left, swiping right, poking someone or whatever you guys do online now with all the apps that, there weren't dating apps when we were dating, but so I don't know that. Forgive me if I don't know all the terms now, but you're doing all these things, and you think you're making these conscious choices. I like this person, I like that person, and you're selecting people, you're rejecting others, and you think you're making that choice consciously. But what's really happening is that your unconscious, your patterns, are making that decision for you. Now, if you have a pattern of not having love in your life, that's not good news, because you're going online and you're going to unconsciously choose another person that fits your old pattern.
Right.
And so what we really think is if I'm very picky and very selective and I have my red flag list and I can just choose someone logically that fits in with my life, this one's going to be different. And so that's what we're bringing into this choice. But unwittingly, our unconscious is making another choice for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the mind, it reacts to opportunities and situations on its own accord. We wouldn't have survived if it wasn't able to do that. So when it's presented with all these options of, there's 10 million people that are potential mates for you now on these sites
in just 1 week.
Right. One of the factors is it's almost like too much selection. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you go to that aisle with the cereals, and there used to be like 3 or 4 cereals,
Captain Crunch,
that you could choose from, and now there's like 2 aisles of all these different cereals that you can choose from. Often people freeze because it's too much. It's overwhelming. Now, what do I choose? I have to read these labels now. That's certainly one factor. The other factor is that our brains are hardwired to make instantaneous decisions, just like with the 8-second rule, but maybe even a little bit faster as to whether we find somebody trusting or whether we trust them or not. And it makes that split-second judgment by looking at these pictures, at the face. A lot of our brain power is dedicated to visual processing, especially facial recognition, facial reading.
It's really interesting too, because you think about it, you look at these profiles and you have a type that you like, a look that you like, and you make all these assumptions about a person based on the clothes they're wearing in their profile picture, the look, the smile, their hair, and then maybe if you get far enough to read their little profile of what they do for a living and their education and what they even the tone of their message, and we throw all this assumption on who this person is, reading them in a moment, in a split second, that we have a overview of, okay, I know exactly who this person is, and I know absolutely this does not fit, bye-bye, in a matter of seconds. And sometimes even more than a second, if you're like swiping left, right.
Or less than a second.
Less than a second.
Yeah.
And so all that is happening. So we want to slow down that process, and we want to understand and hear what our mind is telling us instead of just responding to that knee-jerk reaction. And so the first step is what we want to do when we go online is to set an intention and quiet our mind a little bit. And what I haven't done this in a while, but I know that when I'm on my phone, I'm kind of distracted. So my mind isn't fully there. Sometimes I'll be looking on Facebook, or I'll be looking at apps, or looking at the news, multitasking, and your mind is in another different places, especially if you're in a distracting place, if you're commuting, or if you're in a busy place, and you're not really there, and you're making these. So really, truly, you're not even present to making these choices. So I think the first step is to make that experience of shopping for men or women, a more of a ritual. Slow down, and make this is a ritual. I'm looking for the most important decision I'm ever going to make in my life. More important than my career is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, and we're not really giving it that reverence, that place and that space.
Yeah, there's no manual as to how to do this. I guess there are love coaches and dating coaches, but
they'll tell you to write down your red flag list and be selective, very practical. But we're talking that no matter how practical you can become, if your mind is busy, it's going to make those knee-jerk reactions. So we want to slow it down first, make it a ritual, and be clear on what your expectation is for that experience.
Yeah, and the expectation, then you get into a whole other bag of goodies, because the expectations, if you look at your mind, you can make a list of what you're looking for and say, I'm looking for somebody that's wealthy and handsome or beautiful and etc.
Kind and spiritual.
But why have you chosen those traits? The why is unconscious. We often don't know exactly why we're attracted to these traits that we are so enamored of and that have such a power over us, because they're arising or they're embedded in the unconscious mind, meaning they've been conditioned and placed there from our past history. Not to get into too much of how we're conditioned, but everything we learn from the time we were born up to this moment has been stored somehow in our mind as impressions, as experiences, and the mind absorbs all that and keeps record of all that stuff. So, not technically, but emotionally in a sense. So when we go to make those lists, when we go to think about what is it that I'm attracted to and what is it that I'm looking for, we can read the list, but we don't know exactly why. So we need to dig a little bit deeper if we want to get as to really to understand the motivation, the mindset behind our attractions.
And when we talk about the types that we want, someone said to me once, or a couple people have asked, well, is it wrong for me to want someone attractive? Is it wrong for me to want someone who's close to my age? And I always say that it's great to be selective as long as you're not rejecting something. So check in with yourself of your list and say, do I want someone handsome because I don't want someone unattractive? And what does that mean? What's the assumption of that? If I settle for an unattractive person, that means I'm unattractive. And so a lot of times we want this attractive person to fulfill something that we feel that we're not attractive enough. And we need to prove to the world that we're attractive. So we have everyone see what a great, good-looking guy you got. That type of fitting in with the crowd. And so all those things. For some people, it's success. They have to have a certain amount of success to impress, and maybe they're not as successful. And so it's all about that understanding, that motivation. But what I love what you just said too is this idea of conditioning is that we talked about this earlier, is that when you go online and you have an experience of going online, you are actually conditioning yourself for that experience. So when you have that, like I said, you have to make it a ritual, but probably look back at your experience, the way you've been going online, the way you've been responding to the people that show up, the assumptions you're making, the emotion that happens as you're searching. All those things, those elements are reinforcing a belief or an idea about what online dating is for you, what to expect. So if you don't have for example, you go online and you swipe. I guess right means you don't like them and left means you do. I don't know what it is, which one. And you don't find anyone you're attracted to, and then you assume that this site is terrible. There's no one attractive on that. There's no one my age. They're non-responsive, and then so every time you go to that app again, you're going to have that same experience because you're making this judgment that you're going to have this experience, and then you actually build it into the expectation. And for those of you who've been dating a long time online, and then you pull yourself off, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to put myself on again. But you bring that old expectation. You're already conditioned yourself to not expect a success online. And so just from a mindset perspective, you're conditioned by the experience of dating online.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's an interesting technology, and it depends on which site you're on as to how it conditions your mind, because some have different ways of matching you up.
Yes.
Right? So eHarmony, you're filling out a profile and then waiting for them to send you back matches as to who fits your profiles. On these new apps, you're instantaneously swiping whether you like them or not, and so it's very immediate and kind of visceral. And depending on what kind of reward system you're getting, right? What are the reinforcers? And a reinforcer in this case would be, first of all, the selection, Do you have access? Are they giving you access to a large group of viable mates? Mm-hmm. That would be the first one, right? If a site gives you that, you will tend to go back to it because the mind craves that, the ability to choose. Another level of reinforcement where you're actually meeting people and getting that interaction.
So that's the second level.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you're successfully establishing relationships, would be the third level where, the site is really working for you, where you're actually getting the results that you're looking for. They might not last forever. It might be weeks or months, but you're getting that engagement and that result.
And so this is interesting too, because what you just said reminds me that reward system is really dating in general. At first, we're interacting with this random, generic potential mate idea. And then when we meet the person, we are also being conditioned to, if they call us, we feel good. If we don't hear from them, if we go on a date and then they don't respond in a couple of days, we start freaking out. That rewards and punishment situation, that pattern, it carries into the relationship. And most people that are not aware end up having their whole relationship based on that punishment reward. And if I do this, if I speak up here, I'm going to get punished. So I better keep my mouth shut. Or if I, please him and do everything he says, then he gets me a reward because then he's not as grumpy, or those type of patterns. So it starts really, if we really think about it, it starts really from that first experience of dating online. And we're seeing our whole relationship pattern that could lead into a deeper relationship that carries through us, or we can actually become awake through our online dating and change the pattern.
Yeah. And that's just let's say the behavioral view of the dating online situation. Now, deeper still is this idea that what we're expecting, what we are bringing to the table psychologically and unconsciously is going to play out as well. Even though it's online, it's very much like any dating situation. The kind of people and the kind of experience that you're going to have, they're really going to be reflective of your inner state of mind. Like we were saying in the beginning, it's the mindset that you're bringing to the game that's really going to determine what kind of experience you have in relationships.
So if there's a lot of fear, a time constraint. So here's a really good example of that. And we can talk for hours on all the different scenarios, but this is a really simple one, is that I need to find someone now and I can't wait any longer, that urgency. So when we bring that to the dating website or the dating app, we're bringing that already. And then we're looking for someone who's going to be that instant relationship, someone I can fall in love with overnight, that's ready for love. And then so we're going to weed out people that are maybe separated, or maybe they said they're looking for something casual right now, but not really commitment. And we weed out all those other people, but we're looking for someone that's going to solve this immediate problem. And then when we go out on the date, or we start even interacting with the person, we're bringing that urgency to, when are they going to write me back? They didn't write me back. They didn't respond. I sent them a text and they didn't text me back. And where are they? And when are they going to ask me out? And that urgency. And then you go on the date, and then when are we going to go out again? And so it snowballs into this. Your mindset of urgency becomes the driver of that relationship. And then you're not even getting to know this other person. You're not seeing them for what they are. You're looking through them with the lens and projecting all this urgency on them. And they need to fit this tight schedule that you have for finding love. And I know I've been there, so I'm not saying anything bad about it. We all have that. We want to find it tomorrow, right? We wanted it yesterday. But that doesn't help us achieve love or find that connection faster, bringing that urgency. So if you have that, one of the ways is to start thinking about what is that urgency, to uncover that. What is underneath that?
Yeah, ultimately we want to use whatever experiences we generate by being online, we want to learn from them. And the way to learn from them is to see them as a reflection of our own mind.
Yes.
A reflection of our unconscious mind, meaning we're not even aware that we're creating these things. But in the results that we get, let's say in the type of people that we're attracting or that we're attracted to, both of those elements are reflecting our deeper unconscious mind.
Mm. And so how do we start making conscious choices? That's the question, right? Well, first the ritual, creating a ritual around this. This is something really important. This is a sacred experience to meeting someone, even though it feels very technical and cold and distant. Make it a sacred ritual, that this is my sacred ritual. You set the intention that there's another person out there looking for you. So it's like already there. It's he or she is already there. They may not be on that one app, but they're there somewhere. You'll be led to that. But and then what is arising from your mind? And one of the really great things to look at is, what are you pushing away? Notice the type of people that you're rejecting. There's a lot in there. What triggers you the most to the type of people? The people that aren't very responsive, maybe they're flaky, they're in and out. Are they?
Or the people that trigger you, those are the really good ones.
Yeah. The people that promise you the moon and then fall off the face of the earth. What is that about? And you have to start remembering constantly that this is a reflection of my mind. There's something here for me. This isn't an isolated person that is not, I don't have a hand in. We fit together like puzzle pieces. So we're not saying you're exactly like them, but there's something in it for you. What is that trigger? What is that showing you about your mind?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the best to practice is to drop judgment.
Yes.
To practice non-judgment. It doesn't mean you're not selective. You can definitely select and say, I want these things or these kind of qualities. But when you interact with people and you judge them very harshly, remember it's a reflection of your own judgment on yourself. So it means you're applying a very strict judgment on your own actions. Mm-hmm. So it's giving you information right there about your own patterns of how you see yourself. And
so online dating is available. It's very inexpensive if you think about it. Think about how much it costs for you to get dressed up and go to a party and cocktails or whatever you're doing in the social realm, going to social events. Those are great places too. But even if you don't meet that person online, using online to practice understanding yourself is really a great tool. One of my clients a long time ago, I think I was right after I met Rob. He asked me, what dating site did you meet Rob on? And so I told him, so he signed up and he met his wife that weekend in another, at a party, like a friend's party or something. But it was his intention of, I'm ready to put myself out there and I'm ready to find love. So even the ritual of setting up a profile, saying, this is what I want, it's a very powerful medium. It's this beautiful place where you're putting it out there in the physical world and in the ether that I'm ready for love. And then the exercise of the process of what the feedback is from that result, from that action, is what you look at and what you use to understand yourself. And of course, we can't go into all of it, but there's so many elements of ourself that are reflected in every little interaction online that we could really learn and grow from. And the more we understand our patterns, the less we're going to choose from that 8-second rule. The less we're going to choose from the old place and then repeat the old patterns. The more we slow down and start to look at things a little more deeply as we go through life. And even, too, look at people more deeply. People you're more than just a picture and a profile. You're a 3-dimensional woman or man. You have a heart and a soul, and there's so much depth to you. It's really hard to encapsulate that into 100 characters and a photo or maybe 2 photos. So you want to give other people too that I'm going to search for my heart not my head all the time. I'm not going to make this an urgent, got a job that has to be filled and find an employee for my company. I need to fill a job here.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on people that, okay, your profile says you're going to make me happy, incredibly joyful, and you're going to give me love and sweep me off my feet and all that. It's not going to happen that way. But if you're open, if you're compassionate, if you use these experiences to cultivate your own mind, your own heart, then there's a pretty good chance it's going to make you a better person, and you're going to find great people online if you cultivate your own mind in that respect. So again, to reiterate, you want to make it a ritual. You
want to make a ritual and set the expectation for success and that you're really slowing down the process. Number 2 is stop the judgment of people and understand that what you're seeing with people, with what you reject about them, what you love about them, what you reject is a reflection of your own mind. And
third?
And third is to just have fun with it and learn about yourself and know that a desire for something is the divine in you wanting to be expressed.
Yeah.
So if you have a desire for love, the divine in you wants to have love too. So it's not that you have bad luck or that it's not your fate. It is your fate to find love. If you're here listening to this, you are destined for love. You are ready for love, and you don't have to. This isn't when you examine yourself, please stay away from things that tell you need to fix yourself or heal any wounds. You're perfect just the way you are. The more you accept yourself, the more you're going to accept other people. And that you're going to have a more loving, more compassionate, and generous relationship. And then one last thing, I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, I want to know what's going on. I want to know why I'm attracting these certain people, and you want a little more. Well, we have this new service that we put together. It's a love attraction test. And so basically you can go to loveattractiontest.com and you can download that test and take the test. It's a little PDF. And then if you feel moved, set up a call with Teresa, our lead coach, and she will take you through a process to go over your results and give you some next steps of what you can do. It's really a quick exercise that I think you really love, and it's going to help you understand how you're seeing your mind out in the dating world, and then really take these steps to create the love of your life and coming to you soon.
Sounds good.
So again, thank you for joining us. Join us on our Facebook fan page, Creative Love. It's our group, Creative Love Community. And we'll see you there. And hopefully it gets to interact with you, and hopefully see you soon.
And keep on dating online.
Keep on dating. Rob and I met online. We attest that it works. But we also did our work beforehand. So we knew that what we saw in each other when we met, we weren't overly projecting on each other. It was... we acknowledged that we were projecting, actually, when we met. Very interesting.
That's another podcast.
That's another podcast. But anyway, thanks for joining us on Creative Love Radio. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
You've been listening to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. For more information, visit us on our website at creativelove.com.